I call Andrew Williams.
Mr Speaker, I take a call on behalf of New Zealand First, and we will be supporting the Credit Contracts and Financial Services Law Reform Bill through to Select Committee. This bill provides an increased level of consumer protection, and we believe it is in the interests of all New Zealanders to certainly have that higher level of consumer protection. It will particularly assist and serve to protect vulnerable consumers. It requires a higher level of responsible lending and a duty of care on the part of those who are lending finance to the citizens of New Zealand. It also puts in place greater controls on unscrupulous loan sharks and other such perhaps could be described as questionable operators to ensure that some of the practices that have been in place in New Zealand over many years now are brought to bay. We have seen exorbitant, extortionate interest rates up in the 20, 30, 40% and more being made out in the retail market. And for those vulnerable consumers, many in very desperate and difficult circumstances, this really is a very, very grave situation. This legislation addresses matters of repossession, which at times have seen basic civil rights not being observed, and again it must be very, very taxing on some families and some communities when repossession does take place, and again where perhaps unscrupulous operators are involved in repossessing those goods because of the very high finance charges that have been paid. It also requires that lenders and consumer groups will be consulted to get a sensible and fair outcome from this legislation, and again as a result of this going through to Select Committee and submissions on it, we believe there is the potential and expectation that a good outcome will come for New Zealand consumers. The bill also provides greater channels for dispute resolution, and again often by having sensible dispute resolution, a difficult situation might not be compounded and can be resolved where in the past perhaps it has been allowed to escalate and the finance charges just increase by a disproportionate amount. It also provides greater powers for the Financial Markets Authority to have controls in this area, and again New Zealand First believes there is merit in this, that it's long overdue for this to take place. We are somewhat concerned, however, that this has taken some 6 years to get to the House. We believe that this legislation should not have taken the amount of time it has from 2007 through to 2013 to get to this point. It has been at a time when New Zealanders have been facing great uncertainty in the workplace, where at times the economy has been described as being in recession, and where the most vulnerable in society often are the ones who are having to turn to all sorts of means in order to cover the weekly family budget. And in that respect, there is a requirement of this House to act in the interests of our citizens to ensure that legislation is there in place to help protect vulnerable consumers and citizens who may be otherwise finding it a great strain trying to meet their weekly and monthly needs. So in this respect, Mr Speaker, New Zealand First will be supporting this legislation through to the Select Committee. We anticipate that it will receive quite significant submissions in terms of what's currently in the bill, and we think as a result, and with consultation with the wider community, there can only be a good outcome as a result of this. Thank you.
I call Claire.